Welcome to Transit Talk, Human Design Transits, real talk in real time. I'm Kathy.
And I'm Jess. We meet up about every 6 days to explore the current human design transits and how they're actually showing up in our lives. And we'd love for you to join us.
We're talking energy in the moment, what we're feeling, what we're noticing, and what the transits are stirring up inside us and all around us.
So, whether you're joining us live or listening later, we're glad you're here.
So let's get into it. Hello. So I'm letting some people in here in the Zoom room. So today we are talking about the transits of gate 20, Jess, and um I am gate 34, so response. We can do it, right? The sacral says yes. So for those of you who can't see this, I'm dressed as Rosie the Riveter. Jess, what's gate 20 showing up for as you?
So, today, gate 20 is showing up as in the now with a fun little skirt. Lots of fun, lots of just in the moment, in what feels right for you, right? It's in the now. It's like that individual energy of what feels right and what feels perfect for you. And right now, like the flowy top, the beads, just all of it in this present moment just feels like what gives me life right now.
Yeah, that's cute. Too bad you're gonna have to keep standing up and showing it to us. So the
I'll
people
dance anytime.
yeah. So yeah, so it's a fun transit when we have people. Oh, we've got more people here. Let's see. Okay. So we have this energy that says it's like this really powerful gate 34, right? But only when the timing is right, right? So I felt like Rosie the Riveter was the perfect example because that was this really powerful movement of women who responded to something in the moment that needed this strength, this power to really come out. But what was interesting was it was kind of the exact opposite of what I wrote about in my blog when I wrote about how this is the gate of power, but only in response when the time is right. Sometimes it's a power nap, right? Sometimes that's the response, right? So, yeah. So I'm feeling a little better, although my voice is still not 100%. I just recorded a podcast earlier. I did not dress as Rosie the Riveter for the podcast, though.
You should have.
Wasn't sure that I would be able to keep this thing on my head for long enough. Tied around my head was tricky. So, um,
Love it.
yeah. So anyway, how about we start with the sun in gate 20 and how that might be showing up for people?
Absolutely. So I think with this one, let's start with the chart and just share because this is a very unique activation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like people can feel this one in so many different ways because of this unusual configuration here.
Yeah, absolutely. So what we're looking at right now, so we've got our sun right here in gate 20. And so as we said before, 20 is it's actually the gate of contemplation. It's the gate of now, that presence in the now. It's not like future, it's not past, it's really being here in this present moment. And so we've got gate 20 right here on the throat, right? And so what we're looking at right now with the specific activation is for our Earth, we've got gate 34. So we're connecting over here. So we've got gate 20 connecting in with gate 34. And we've also got another potential activation. So really noticing right now in your chart, if you have 57. So we've got the
I do.
channel. You do. You've got the 57.
My
And
my
so
core wound.
that's your core. Oh, that's so interesting. So with this, we've got, the 2034 right here, which is the channel of charisma. And that's what we're all feeling collectively. So just a reminder with these things, when we have these transits, when we have these different activations, this is not your energy within you, but it is definitely an energy that you're feeling. It's almost like the backdrop of the story and what's interacting. So you're interacting with the energy around you, in a different way right now. So noticing how this channel of charisma is showing up for you. But also potentially, because if you look at most of the activations, like over here, if you have a gate activation, there's one potential other place where it can connect to make the channel. So with this one right here, with the 20, it can also connect over here into the spleen, right? And so that would be the gate 57. And so this right here, this channel, so this is the channel of the brainwave, and this is that penetrating awareness. And then we also have a third option right here with the 20, where this connects in with the 10 on the G center. And so this is one that I have. We've spoken about this one before. And so with the 1020, that's the channel of awakening. So just noticing like what else is being activated in you right now with this and what's being brought potentially if you don't have the 20 and you have one of these other ones, like what is this energy of the now really bringing to these? Um,
Or if you do have the 20 and you don't have, and even if you have the, if you have the 20 in your chart, now you're getting the 34, but, you know, all of these combinations just are adding another layer in there. There's so many more options with this one because the same will be true when we look at the 34. You can have the 3410, you can have the 3457.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, exactly the same thing. So for me personally, I have the 1020 right now. And so experiencing the 34, it's very interesting how that's showing up for me right now in my energy. And again, like last week with this activation right now, this is a unique activation also in the fact that it is defining, if you don't have a defined throat, this is going to define the throat for you, and it's going to define your sacral if you don't have a defined sacral. So noticing how that's also showing up for you because this is giving you that full channel there of charisma.
And noticing how that's showing up around you because everybody in the world right now is feeling this motorized energy to the throat, right? This manifesting, generating energy is the
Mhm.
only channel that does both. And the whole world is feeling it right now. So that's
Mhm.
pretty intense.
Mhm.
So could be some conversations that maybe get brought to the surface that maybe wouldn't have in a different energy situation. I felt
Yeah.
that in my house last night, so
Yeah, the thing I've noticed with this, because, I am a generator, so I have the defined sacral, but the sacral is not directly connected to the throat because that's what makes you a manifesting generator, right? To have that connection to a motor with your throat. Um, and this energy for me feels very, very potent. I feel like I'm very energetic. But this has almost like an extra flavoring of energy. It's like that turbo boost to it in a way, if you will. Um, so very, very interesting, especially if you don't normally have the defined sacral, noticing how this specific activation of the sacral shows up for you as well.
and
And
it's
now,
always important and, to remember that you're feeling these things, but these don't ever become your authority, right? So,
Mhm.
I think it's even harder sometimes when you have, there's a hierarchy to authorities. So, sacral is the top of the hierarchy is emotional, right? So if you're emotional authority, even though you're feeling this, you still have an emotional wave that you wait for clarity for any kind of big decisions. But um, this sacral authority kind of overrides everything else. So you might be somebody who has splenic authority or, your self-projected projector, your soundboarding, those sorts of things. And this could really feel like pressure to just respond in the moment in a way that isn't necessarily honoring your authority. So just being aware of that when you're making decisions, that this energy can be used for our good. We can use it to get things done that our authorities already brought us to the realization of, but yeah, it can be problematic if we let it take control.
exactly. So knowing like what's you at your core, and then also knowing and honoring what you're experiencing right now in the collective. And then another thing I want to bring up real quick while we've got this showing on the screen right now is that we also have right here the activation. We've got this whole channel. So we've got the channel of initiation. And so noticing how that's defining as well, this is defining the G center and the ego. And so the 25 is that gate of spirit, the gate of self, and then 51 shock. And so just kind of noticing and seeing that that's, in our collective energy right now, and noticing how potentially that's showing up. Is there
Yeah.
anything else you wanted to chat about on the chart?
Well, I was thinking maybe we should just go through the lines of 20 before we move on to 34. So if you wanted to do line 1 and then I'll read from Chaitan's book, but I just realized I have not checked to make sure we are actually live streaming in the group. So I want to do that real quick.
Oh, yeah. And if I forget, remind me, there was a share someone had shared about their contemplation of gate 20 that they've been doing. And I'd
Okay.
like to, I hadn't had a chance to read that, would love to share and see what's been coming up for that. So for me personally, I've got gate 20, and that's in my Jupiter, but it's on my unconscious side. So that's the design side, the body side, right? And my personal line is it's line 4. So looking at gate 20, so we're coming back to it's, that gate of now, it's in the throat center, it's part of civilization. And so the direct quote from Ra is that it's recognition and awareness in the now, and that it transforms understanding into right action.
Yeah.
Okay. So really sitting with like, what is right action? What's good, what's bad. And it's not necessarily that like one thing's good and one thing's bad. It's like, what is right and true for you, right? So coming back to this individual like energy, it's the right action is being you. The answer, this makes me giddy. The answer is being you, like being uniquely you, expressing that version of you in the now, not like from that place where you're like, who do I need to be? Or who do I think I was from the past? It's got nothing. It's very centered in that present moment. It's not that future. It's not that past piece. And this speaks to me deeply, like with the Eckhart Tolle, that present, we only have the now. But it's like, who am I coming back into that now? And that is that right action, right? Like, what is correct? Asking the question, like, what is me? Who am I? Right? In this moment, in the now, and being yourself. That's the answer, is being yourself in the now. Um,
That's so perfect because we're just coming from the gate 8, right? Where we really focused on being true to who we actually are in the moment, right?
yeah. It's so cool to see, as we track and go through these, how they all build on each other, right?
Right.
How they all like the one flows into the next one.
A whole
Um,
curriculum of sort, right?
yeah, yeah. It's just, the deeper you lean into it, the more you realize like how perfect it all is and how it all flows so beautifully. And again, the significance of that, there are those 3 different activation potentials where you have it can connect in with like the spleen with the 57, it can connect in with the 34 with the sacral, it can connect in with the 10, which is in the G center, right? So the different potentials for the now, it's the only purely existential gate. And it's like it's the voice of integration, right? It's the most, Ross said it's the most purely individual of all the voices. And it's about survival. There's this piece of survival in it. Like, who am I in the now? And there's this piece of like, when we think about the now, especially there's this whole movement of like, be here, be now, like, this is the deep place to be. The way Ross speaks about it is really like this surface level. This is survival. It's like, how am I deciding what am I going to eat? What am I going to do in this moment? Being aware, like, what is actually around me, not going into that depth. Because when you go into that deep place of like contemplation of like going deeper, the now is actually a really surface level. And sometimes we have that connotation where it's like, oh, surface level, that's not deep, that's not good, right? But it's perfect. That's exactly what the now is. It's meant to be that surface level. And the example he shares is about like a basketball player, right? If you're like so deeply contemplating something, you're not aware of like, oh, the ball's coming when you're not even looking, right? Like you've got to be aware of what's happening like here and now, being so deeply rooted in the now. And that requires it to be that surface level. So starting to look at, potentially if you have the 20 activated, are you trying to go deep into some things where your mechanics are really calling you to come to that surface level and actually see what's around you, what's happening around you? Um, and then with the hexagram, we've got the 2 yang at the top, and then we've got the 4 yin. Um, And the perfection of the way is in being yourself, being you in this moment, in the now, feeling exactly what you're feeling and what's coming through you. So to start with the lines, we have line one is superficiality, right? And this is the energy of shallowness. And again, sitting with those words and going, what does this mean to me? Like, what are these words? Like, oh, that's superficial. Because at first, for me, the connotation is like, oh, that's superficial. That's a negative thing, right? But again, coming back to this piece of surface level,
Yeah.
and now deeply needs to be surfaced, right? And this is the foundational energy as we're going through the lines. Remember that the
Yeah.
line one opens this energy and it's really calling and looking for right now because we have the activation, the 21. It's being right here in the now, right? Not somewhere deep.
The
Like
20 line
nothing.
one, you mean?
Oh, what did I say?
You said the 21, so it could easily
Oh,
be
21.
purpose. That 20 line one, yeah. Right.
Yes, thank you. 20 line one. Um, and so with the 20 line one, we've got the Venus exalted, right? And so this is like people where you really notice them, where they have that peripheral vision, where they're noticing the things going on. They're very present in like what's actually happening in this now. And that can be a real gift. So coming back to again, that this surface level is the gift to be able to be so present with what's actually happening right there with that athlete, right? Like knowing what's happening.
Yeah.
Mhm. And then with the moon and detriment, there's that expression of personality, right? I'm here right now in this moment, in this place, right? And it's like your personality is expressed in this surface level.
Right.
And yeah, it's
So
about,
those are good. Those aren't going to impact us though, because those are different planets. We're talking about sun right now. So the only way you're going to feel those is if you happen to have one of those planets also, or
yes.
with one of those
Yes,
planets.
for yours, exactly, with the line one, right?
Yeah.
And so, you know, again, coming back to this energy of like, where am I potentially trying to go deep?
Yeah.
And this for me was such a big piece because I was like, the now and trying to be present in the now and trying to go deep with it. So I have a
Mhm.
Scorpio moon, and my Scorpio moon loves to go deep. And then we have, the 20 that's all about this surface level. And that's really where it thrives. This is really where this energy lives. And so then line two, we move into line two, and
Hold
the
on. I just want to say, I just wanted to go through each one. So I just wanted to, yeah, Chan says,
yeah.
he calls it simplicity is the key to awareness. So I kind of like that better than the, what did you say? Shallowness?
Superficiality. Yeah. It
Superficiality?
sounds nicer, right?
Yeah.
Superficial.
And then, right. He just said each small event is part of a larger scheme of events. Your own viewing of life is essential. And I think that's really beautiful. Like it's all about what you feel in that moment, right? And
Mhm.
I do want to back up on one thing that we can talk about more later, but I just want to mention. So you said that this gate 20 is individual energy on the throat. But right now we have all the individual gates on the throat activated because we have um Jupiter, I believe, in gate 12. We have gate 8 is right now Uranus, I think, and gate 23 is Mercury at the moment. So all the individual gates on the throat are activated. Plus, we have this powerful individual energy of the gate of power, the gate now, um, bringing this in to motorize that throat. So you're really going to see a strong pull, push, drive in the collective, in all of us to really say, this is who I am. This is what I need. This is what matters to me. And that it's pretty powerful energy.
It really is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then we go into, so what's line two is the dogmatist, right? And so part of that's just that energy of the line two, that it doesn't sometimes know that it's even in the now, right? That it gets to be called out. So line two in and of itself is a little bit like an existential gate. And so when someone calls you out, but it's a dogmatist energy in that the line two will lead someone into the now and speak about the now, because the first three ones are very interpersonal versus the later ones are transpersonal for others. And so it's like, this is how I have existed in the now.
Right.
It can lead you in the pathway, but it's only the pathway that they've been down. And that's how it can feel a bit of like that dogmatic energy, because it is restricted into the way that they've experienced it with the line too.
Yeah. So, I just wanted to say we do have people that are watching in the group, and if you want to come in the Zoom, the link is pinned in there. So, feel free to join us on the Zoom if you, or just if you have things you want to add. I know Deb mentioned that yes, it's very productive and juicy energy hitting this splenic projector. I am especially aware of my bandwidth. The building self-love practice creates spontaneous ease and authenticity in the now, seeing what's calling to me. Yes, I think that's really very I think it's really important for those of us with undefined sacrals to especially realize the potential in this um motorized throat kind of energy, really strong energy like this, the potential that we can really start acting in ways that are not sustainable for us. So, hi, Mary.
Hello. I love that you say juicy, because it feels juicy to me as well. Like, even having my sacral defined, I definitely feel this energy right now is that extra little piece of like a burst of energy. Yeah.
I totally felt it last night. I couldn't figure out. I was already running on low sleep from the night before. And so I thought surely I would need energy. And like I kept waking up in the middle of the night with all this energy. And when I saw that this was a trans, I'm like, oh, okay. And I have the full 3420 already. But it's a boost for everybody.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
so
did.
interesting.
I had a hard time falling asleep last night. Like I was still awake, laying there going, "Why am I so awake? I've been run down." And I did. I really felt that energized. And then when my alarm went off, because I recorded a podcast this morning, so I had to actually set an alarm, which I never do. Um, and when I woke up, I was like, "Oh, I'm okay." I had a, even though my body is a little bit like you have energy, but you still need to rest because I'm still not 100%, but I'm still awake. So, okay, so it's 20.2 we're talking about, Mary. So, the second line in Chaitan's book is called Viewpoint, and he calls it weighing personal perspectives with the reality of the world. If your unaffected observations are not appreciated, you can easily become discouraged. So, okay, so you're looking for that that recognition, oftentimes. So, that's interesting. So, what lines do you have in gate 20 and Mary?
3.
3. Okay, well, we're going to read that next.
We're about to do three, so I'd love to hear your reflection on it. And also, I would love to know, so I have this hypothesis, and if you have this activation like naturally in your chart, do you feel like you sleep less? Because I feel like everyone, speaks about sacral and it's like using your energy, and I 100%, I feel like I use all my energy during the day, but I love sleep. Like I sleep a solid like 8 or 9 hours. Like I love sleep. I love to sleep, right? But I feel like the people I know in my circle that have this, I feel like they sleep less. I feel there's like this burst of energy from I don't even know.
My
So that
husband
would
and
be
my sister. Oh, go ahead. You'd go because you have it.
Oh, I was literally just contemplating this because after having so little sleep the night before and then, waking up all those times last night and still being fully perky this morning. And I was just like, I wonder if I'm getting too much sleep and I need to be sleeping less. So that's literally the contemplation I was having with myself this morning, was that I think that maybe I've been sleeping too much and not using up my energy and doing enough. So that's actually part of my experiment for the next
Well,
little
it's interesting too to contemplate because 20, all individual circuitry carries a melancholy. And a melancholy can often be confused with depression or even tiredness. And it's really a creative malaise of sorts, right? Until you use it creatively. So I'm wondering, as you're doing more creative things like making all those adorable little crochet guys behind you, Like if you're feeling that that's using some of that melancholy and maybe not making you feel as tired as well, right? So, it's kind of can go either way because the generator types, and especially manifesting generators, need to use a lot of physical energy. But the melancholy of the 2034 can make you feel like you don't want to use it sometimes, right? There's almost like
Well, plus my 2, and so I'm, that hermity feeling, and so yeah, this is a real growing edge for me in experimenting on this piece of my design, particularly because I always think with that 3420, everything's supposed to be instantaneous because of how fast it goes. And then it's like, oh, but it's that whole, it's integration.
right.
There is that, and I forget that all the time, that there's this huge integration element to it.
Yeah, right. That's a great point. So,
That's
you,
so cool. I love that. Thank you for sharing. And anybody else who's listening later, or if you're in the Facebook group or watching the replay, wherever you are, if you happen to have this channel, like share with us, like how many hours do you sleep a night? How does it feel? Because I definitely know there was a time in my life where I was so tired that I would sleep more, but I was sleeping so much that my body was groggy because it was like too much sleep, right? That it needed to move more. And so, like, what is that threshold for you? I wonder if there's like a certain amount of time. So very interesting. Thank you for sharing that.
so did you
Line
the
3.
line 3? Yes.
Yes. So now we're going into the 20 line 3. So we are now in self-awareness. So the natural energy of the third line, it's like bonds made and broken. It's like things bumping into you, you bumping into things in your life. And so with this trial and error, the self-awareness comes from the surprise that you're like really with this energy. And I'd love to hear for you, Mary, if this shows up for you, that this is Ross spoke about this one as like the most aware in the now with the third line, because things are constantly coming and banging into you and you have this awareness in the now, and then something happens and you're like, am I keeping it or am I not? Because there's such an interaction and a play with life with you, with those bonds made and broken. And there's also this energy where you're always watching yourself. You're always very aware of what you're doing and where you are in the world, which potentially could come with like a level of being self-critical of where you think you should be. But that's again coming to that future piece instead of like, where am I right now, here in the now?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And Shaitan calls it being objective, developing an ability to watch thoughts and actions impassively. Establishing guidelines by dispassionately watching the effect you have on your world. So that's really feels like passenger consciousness there, right? Just kind of observing. And this is it's exalted in the sun. So when we get to what's today, Wednesday, so Friday, we'll have this third line, sun energy, that is honoring your witnessing consciousness. You'll find assists you to glide through your life. So
Interesting. So
really,
I feel like Roz almost went to the 6th line before this happened. I feel like for the first beginning lines, it was more like really truly being in the now. And it feels like the 6th line is where you start to like disassociate and you start to come into that passenger consciousness.
yeah. Interesting. And then, I was noticing that the detriment is the earth. And so if I'm remembering how this works, because we have the full channel there, it's going to work because the earth is connecting. And so we'll still feel that on as well, right? Do you remember? Isn't that how it works when the channel, like if you have, my brain just stopped functioning properly. So like I know that sometimes I will have, it'll say that something's in the detriment and I don't have that planet there, but I'm connected to another planet that is in that, or another gate that is defined by that planet. So when the channel has that connect anywhere in the channel, not just the gate. So the 34 will be in line 3 in the earth, and so it'll still give us this detriment feeling of line 20, which means we're getting both at the same time, which is interesting. It's saying that the detriment is your self-consciousness can be a stumbling block when you are relating to the world. So
But
that
that's exactly what Jess was saying, that you're in the now and you're aware, but you're so hyper aware
right.
that so yes, I do think that they both happen at the same time.
Yeah. So interesting. Okay. So did you have any more you wanted to say on that, Mary, before we move to line 4?
I think that's very much been an experience of mine because I've been working on being in my body, being present, being in the now. I don't have a whole lot of experience yet with getting the passenger consciousness experience. I'm still trying to pull myself out of my head and not be in that deep contemplation and figuring out how to
Yeah.
stay in the moment because I'm such an overthinker. When those things bombard me, I just go straight down the rabbit hole with them as opposed to just letting them kind of pass me by. So I'm still figuring that one out.
Yeah. I'm highly conditioned by this channel, just so you know. My husband has this channel and my sister has this channel. So this channel is something that I feel deeply and have had to consciously disassociate from acting on this channel, right? But yeah, I'm definitely feeling it right now for sure. So do you want to go to line 4?
I just want to touch on again that piece where it's with the now, how perfect it is, right? That your mechanics, Mary, that they are in the now. And that almost like permission to be like, yeah, I'm supposed to be like this. I'm supposed to be hyper focused. This is the energy it carries. It makes me so giddy when we have these stories sometimes and we're like, oh, I do this thing. And it's like, no, this is perfect. Like, this is the expression of like having this energy. And that there is, because I know with the 20 and for me, the connotation was always like, now it's deep. There's such a depth to it. What's the depth of the now? And it's like, no, it's not it, right? It gets to be that surface level and it gets to shift, especially with that third line so quickly as you experience it and noticing yourself, how you're feeling in that now, in that moment, right? As yourself. And so those moments are just always so like, of course, right? Of course I'm supposed to experience it like this. And I love that. So yeah.
Well, and these are my nodes. So they're so much bigger and they play such a fundamental part of everything. And so it's just like, yeah, okay.
Yeah. So which is it your north node, then the 20 or
The 20 is my south node.
your south node? Oh, okay, fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Moving into the power.
Moving in. Oh, she's going into the power.
Come on,
Ooh,
she's
ooh.
fully these to it by now. Right.
Yeah, and just anyone who isn't aware, so the South Node is like an energy that you may be more familiar with. It's like an energy that you're more like accustomed to, and like your North Node is kind of like where you're going, like what you're stepping into. So that's so cool.
Yeah.
I noticed here, Shauna said that I sleep like a rock, but I've been busy, busy, busy. I'm assuming, do you have
She said she has the 20, or no, that was somebody else that said they have the
okay,
she
Hannah,
has the 20.1 sun and 34.1 earth on her conscious side. So her conscious sun is the 20.
Yeah. Okay. And then Hannah, like how does that feel for the third line for you, the 23, right? That presence with it and that piece of like hyper focus on where you are in the now and how you're experiencing it. Love to hear how that's showing up for you. And in Mercury, absolutely. Okay, so Shauna has 20.1 sun. Okay. So that first line. Very cool. Okay. So the fourth line, so now we're starting to move into, again, we've got the 1, 2, 3. Now we're going into the upper trigram. So the fourth, and this is the foundation for the upper trigram. So this is a little bit more fixed. And this is, line 4 is application. So we're looking at, again, this transpersonal, where we start interacting more with others. And this is where it's more the energy of like pulling the others into the now with you. And so this is actually, this is my activation that I have, the 20.4. And so it's with this ability to act upon that understanding, right? And it's this piece of like, can this other person understand like what they need to do in the now with this, right? Um, Bringing those other people with you into the now. And it's kind of this energy of like, where you could have like the theory of how to do it, but it's really with this fourth line, it's really the application of it, taking it. And it can be difficult. And this is something I've noticed in my energy where it's like difficult to help like guide somebody into the now, living in the now, being in the presence of this. And with that fourth line, there is that teaching potential with it. Because it's that steady fixed. Because I feel like for my energy, it shows up. I am very deeply in the now. If I'm having a conversation with you, I am in this conversation and the world doesn't exist. Like I am here with you this moment. There's not another moment that exists. And the conversation we have is very dependent on like where we are, the energy for you, the energy for me, the energy around us. It's very, very present.
Which planet is it for you?
For me, it's Jupiter.
Oh, Jupiter. Okay.
Jupiter on my design side. And so there's this level of, where details for me aren't necessarily my strong point, and also like time. Sometimes I'm really, 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 really bad with time because I'm so deeply here in this moment with somebody that, again, the rest of the world kind of feels like it's.
That brings up an interesting thing. Someone pointed out to me or was talking about it once at one of the human design conferences, that gate 20, people, when you have gate 20 defined, are sometimes, they're so present in what they're doing that they don't always like answer their texts or their emails or whatever. And it's because they're very in the moment of what they're doing and they don't even look at those things. And so sometimes other people can feel a little bit shunned by them if they don't realize it's because they're actually honoring who they are in whatever that is they're doing. And if they can focus on, hey, this person's really present when they're with me and not get in their head about the fact that they don't respond to their texts for 6 hours or something. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because there's that energy of like being so present with someone and giving them your all, your full, like, I am here. And then it's like, oh, wait, what just happened? You've now like disengaged and you're gone. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's funny because the two people that I know, my husband and my sister are both really annoyed when they're talking to me and I look at my phone or something because they don't do that. Right? They're very
I do that, but that's a conditioning thing. I know it's my, yeah.
Yeah. So Shaitan calls us, and I think we're going to have to go through the rest of these a little quicker. We're not going to get through gate 34. 20, but that's good where it's all perfect, right? Line 4 is observing, promoting the best influences in your world, impacting situations by recognizing and enabling the best attributes in yourself and others. So, I think that speaks for itself. So, yeah, to go to line 5.
Dad had a beautiful comment. She said, escaping from the depth of purposefully releasing my hyper focus in the deconditioning process in the now. Absolutely. Finding that balance, right? Noticing that awareness. The result always shows up and surprises me. Yes. Yes. And that's part of that line, that surprise.
Right.
So now we're going to the fifth line. So realism. And this is just realism, seeing the world as it is. Was that too short?
No, it's perfect, but I was a little fried. Big switch. Okay. And Chaitan calls it meditating, watching your deepest thoughts and feelings dispassionately. So open to hearing the world's comments on your life, you engage from a place of inner clarity.
And that's, with that fifth line is you're deeply sensitive. It's like you can see, like in the now, you can see like what's going on around you so clearly. And sometimes with that fifth line, that projection, if you say something like, well, that's really shitty, that needs to be fixed, and people are like, how did you say that? Right. And it's like, because you can so clearly see like what in the world is beautiful and what in the world is like, oh, hold on, let's, this needs something to happen with it. And a lot of times, society and people are ready to hear those things, but you can't not see them.
You're going to be hearing them this week, guys. with all these visual throat activation.
Like
Fifth line is gonna be what? Today's Wednesday, so Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So Sunday, watch for it.
that's
Yeah, I don't know. But, it's always fun when you start to really watch the way like, just even online, you start to notice what people are talking about, and then you go and you look and you go, "Yep, it's a fifth line day," or, "Ooh, it's a third line day today," right? And then if you put in the flavor of the gate, it's really
love it.
cool.
Mm.
So, but, the key here is he's talking about, watching your deepest thoughts and feelings dispassionately, so not identifying with them, right? That's tricky.
Yeah, and I think that is part of it, right? Where you're like, I see these things. I can't not see them, right?
Right.
And I can so clearly see it where other people potentially can't, but then being able to start to have that
Yeah.
disassociation with it. And that really steps into the sixth line where we've got, what have we got? Wisdom. And so this is where you're really, for Rob, this was the one where it was more, for me, it felt like more of that passenger consciousness where you start to like drift away and separate from like actually truly feeling the things like you're in the now, but it's like really noticing and putting in this understanding of like this level of separation of like what's worth changing,
Yeah.
you know? Yeah.
And Shaitan calls it reflecting, considering those agendas that benefit everyone. Your detached presence amasses realistic knowledge that is available for everyone to utilize. So, really looking at what you're seeing in the moment and um, reflecting on it in a way to see if it matters. Is it even anything that makes a difference? And using your voice and your actions for things that benefit the whole, the collective, the tribe, whatever, even though it is individual energy, right? So, okay, so now we have
Okay. Do we have a minute here to do? I think Vicky is in 20, and then potentially for 34, I'll just read and I won't talk.
Vicky's in 20. What are you talking about?
So Vicky shared, that she's got conscious Jupiter in gate 26.6, and then her unconscious in gate 20.1. And she said there's so much, when I reflect back on how Jupiter has shown up for me, I remember my second Jupiter return. I wasn't aware of human design or anything but the sun sign and astrology at that time. It was when I was introduced to the concept of a mindfulness and its power. Yes. Yes. Mindfulness is very key for this 20. A motivational guest speaker at my school resonated with me and had recommended some books, on one of them being The Power of Now. Yep. Eckhart Tolle. Yep. Love him. Looking back, I think that was super interesting. It should come up around the time of my Jupiter return. I did find the book very difficult to read at the time, so I tabled it and found other books, one being The Tao of Pooh is
I
hands
love that book.
down my favorite book.
I have that book.
I love for anybody and everybody. It's a beautiful read. It's a simple read. It just makes it all make sense in such a way that feels so beautiful with Winnie the Pooh and just like their interactions. And it lands in such a, a lot of times when you read these books, you're like, what is it saying? Like, what are they even saying this right now? Highly recommend The Tao of Pooh. It was a great way to be introduced to Taoism, and the book is all about how to stay happy and calm under all circumstances. Yes. So I tried to practice what I'd learned and embody some of that. I can see where the line 6 as well as 1 have come into play. I've had so many experiences over the past 12 years in which I've had to continuously up my mindfulness game, yes, in order to feel more at harmony in my life. Absolutely. Also really enjoy searching for new methods and ways in which to further embody this state of being. And because that's it, right? Like it's really that embodiment. And when your body's not feeling safe and when whatever's going on in your body, you can't be present in the now. You can't feel the things if everything within you is not flowing. My Saturn return threw me off for a little. I struggled with anxiety and started working through with all my things with my practice. My Saturn is in gate 11.6. Being more present, hyper vigilant state, absolutely noticing where that comes in. And the shadow, and noticing, where you come into from time to time where that shadow is. Relationship, embracing the work.
Yeah.
external.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's funny because I can't see that comment for some reason.
it's in the main post.
Oh, okay.
Started practicing. As long as things around me were calm. Yes, thank you for bringing this up. This is just such an important piece. It's that you can't be present in the now when you're not in that state of calm, when you're feeling that place of anxiety, when you're in that place of like looking at the past or the anxiety of like what's going to happen into the future. And so I feel like for me, the state really calls and asks me to deal with my shit. It's like all the things in your life, like everything hanging out in that solar plexus you don't want to deal with, everything you've stuffed into that sacral. It's like it's really asking me to work through that and let that flow come through. Um,
I think of this as my public speaking gate, because if I'm thinking about, how is this going to go? How is it going to respond? I get all freaked out about it. And when I'm finally up and I'm in front of people, and I always, at least up until now, I have always spoken from a manuscript, and I can be in the now and I can be in that moment. And as long as I am just focusing on saying my thing and doing that in the moment, I am perfectly fine. But the moment I start thinking about how is this being received? What is happening? Is this landing? It's all gone.
yes, absolutely. And she touches on this too. The fear I would feel pushed me towards not trusting in my truth and putting the truth of others above my own in order to keep the peace. And that, again, that could be part of that. For me, it's my undefined solar plexus with, keeping that peace. And so noticing with, for everyone right now feeling this activation of the 20, like, where is their fear coming up for you and sharing your truth and putting other people's truth, or like worrying what they're going to say and how it comes across?
Yeah. And I saw that Deanne also wrote, and Deanne's a 2-4 manifesting generator. She said in another comment here, but she has the 3420 channel defined, and she has gate 34.5 is her conscious, and 34.6 in her unconscious south node, and 34.3 in unconscious Venus, and 34.6 in unconscious Mars. So that's a lot of 34s. And then her 20.5 is her conscious. I think she meant to say north node just based on. So she's, well, something twice. So she's got 20.5 twice. She said, this seems like a lot. I'm feeling that and wanting to go into my hermit. Second line, can anyone provide insight as to why? So, why you might be feeling a stronger urge to hermit. It might be that, this really strong call to be in the moment. And so I would ask, are you honoring your natural gifts and talents and doing those things? Because, when we think about the hermit mode, it is about going inward and doing what comes naturally for us. And are you in response doing things that are based on that feeling in the now? Or are you still doing things based on what your mind says you're supposed to be doing, what your coach says you're supposed to be doing, what this next, goal that you have created in your mind is saying you should be doing, and your body is saying, no, go do what I respond to, right? So I would say, can you look at how to get better in touch with that sacral response and really being present in that moment, and just go hermit. If that's what your body's saying to do, don't fight it. Our mind gives us a million reasons why we can't go hermit. And most of them are a bunch of bullshit. Occasionally you do have to, like, if you have people you're responsible for, small children or animals, yeah, you gotta do the right thing, right? But most of the time, your business will still be there. It'll probably be stronger because everybody will start coming. Where did Deanne go? Where did Deanne go? I was really liking those posts I was seeing. Wonder if she's all right. Or I need to, you start to have time to think about things. So, yeah. So,
Experiment and see what happens, right?
exactly.
Just play with it. Like, how does it feel to take all the pressure off completely and play with it and go, my body wants to hermit. Let's hermit. Let's see what happens. Let's play with it. Let's, let's explore.
Yeah. So Vicky says, I love hermiting. Haha. Yeah.
I love hermiting too. I love 4-6 and I love hermiting.
Okay, so let's real quick read through gate 34 before we get into the lines, though. I just want to like talk a little bit about the gate because I feel like we've spent a lot of time on 20 and we've touched on the 34 with that. But you know, this is the most powerful energy in the chart. It is, you know, known as great strength. Its power is only great when its display or use comes from an inner balance. This is responsive power. This is power that only works when your sacral says yes. And when you don't have a defined sacral, you're still going to feel this right now. You're going to feel that power saying, yes, I want to do this, but it's not your authority. So it only works when this sacral says yes and your authority is telling you to use this energy. You persistently move your energy towards achieving what is empowering, appropriate, and essential, and at the same time seek to avoid what may be considered to be aggressive or egotistic. And it's the only asexual sacral gate. So this is not a gate that's about procreation. This is a gate that's individual, right? So, if in line 1 in Chaitan's, I'll just start as being pushy, haphazard, sometimes clumsy use of power. Using power well comes from your inner strength or calming reactions. Its use causes in. I'm going to read that again. Using power well comes from your inner strength or calming reactions. Its use causes in others. So. It was a long sentence with no punctuation, and I was trying to put in punctuation where it didn't belong. Okay, and so letters in the I Ching, the rate thing is called what?
So for this, line 1 is called the bully. And so just to really reiterate what you say, you know, it's called the power of the great, right? But it's only great when it's used for a higher good, right? It's not the energy of like, I have this immense power, the sacral power, this like especially potent expression of the sacral power to use it for the sake of power.
Yeah, you're not the boss of me. Okay, and line 2 is being temperate. Resistance lessens when you apply power carefully. In times of success, you either increase or lose your respect for others. So, you know, being, again, cautious.
And so line 2 is momentum.
Okay. That doesn't feel like it's the same.
No.
It's not uncommon for, you know, for those who don't know, Chetan Parkin worked with Ra and he disagreed with a lot of the verbiage Ra used. And Ra said, well, go write your own book of lines. So he did. And I really love it. So I have it here. But I also love Ra's book of lines too. Although I do think sometimes this Ravi Ching could use a little bit more description on some of the lines. But then there's a book called The Line Companion. And if you don't have that one, that's a big Mac Daddy that we will not be using during transit talks, or they will be transit talk marathons. Anyway, okay, so line 3 is estimating, using power in accordance with prevailing conditions, using your power discreetly, or being overly zealous and attracting complications. Okay. Estimating. What does Ra call it?
So line 3 is machismo, which is that like extreme manliness, like male, like dominance, superiority.
This is the tough guy stuff. So, yeah, the indiscriminate display of power, he calls it. So, okay, 4 is inner strength. Maintaining inner balance assures achievement. Trusting or doubting your inner clarity results in the success or failure of any effort. Oh, you know, I did want to back up though, Mary, because Mary, you've got the machismo one then, because you had the 3 for the. So,
Yeah, I do.
right. Okay.
That's my north node.
Yeah. Oh, so you're like moving into an environment of
My conscious north node, no less. So yeah, it's
How does that feel?
So that's more perspective than environment. Yeah.
It's it's interesting because we've joked, my husband and I, we've been married 26 years. And even when we were dating, we joked that he was more in touch with his feminine side than I was, that I was sort of the masculine
Man of the house.
and so it's always been a really interesting experiment for me to try and dive more into the feminine side of things. So to have that machismo now be sort of where I'm at, and I'm like,
So the fourth line. Did I read that already? No. I did? I didn't. Okay. Inner strength. Maintaining inner balance assures achievement. Trusting or doubting your inner clarity results in the success or failure of any effort. So, okay. So the power is within, right?
This is triumph.
What is it?
Triumph?
Triumph?
Like triumph, like I'm triumphant.
Yeah. I always, yeah, triumph like the motorcycles. Okay. So 34.5 is accepting nothing to prove in your easy use of power. So seeing how your power affects others, you either embrace this or are uncomfortable with it. So yeah, really kind of detaching from the identification with it, right?
This one's interesting. This one's annihilation.
Well, being when you don't detach from it.
And I think part of that plays into that projection, right?
Yeah.
What people are projecting onto that as that fifth line, right? Where you're like, I'm going to use my power, and you're like, this is the thing, annihilating it. The perspective of it. Yeah.
Oh, there's somebody I just thought of that I want to go look at their chart and
Do you have this? Yeah.
yeah. And it's not either of the people I mentioned so far, so don't worry. It's not my husband. Okay. So gate 34.6 is being careful, having the wisdom to reassess. Your discriminate or indiscriminate use of power means outcomes are harmonious or not. And it is actually exalted with the earth, and you learn ways to adapt your use of power to maintain stability in any situation.
Let's see. Line 6 is common sense.
Okay. That makes sense. And so we had this, that's pretty much the 6 is always the wise use of it, right? So I just really think this is an interesting transit to really watch how you're responding to things, right? And remembering that, it does have that manifesting energy, which is initiating energy, but it is in response, right? So, and watching the tendency to bring in the brain, especially, if that 23 connects with something to activate, that 43 right now with you or something, if you have a hanging 43 and you get that 23 and you get those insights coming in. But, when you think, I like to look at how like you were saying in the beginning, how all these transits, kind of take us from a path. So we've been in this deep individual energy. We had the 43-23 that was bringing us all these insights, right? And how are we structuring? What do we do with them? And then we had this gate 8-14 transit of, how do I be true to who I am? How do I do the creative work that I love in a way that honors the unique individual that I am? And now, how do I really be present, knowing that I know who I am, knowing that I have these insights, and respond to what life is bringing to me in a way that is really true for me, right?
I think it's really beautiful that this is paired with that 2551, because you talked about, we have all 4 individual gates on the throat, but we also have that defined sense of self, that sometimes if we still had that open solar plexus, the things that we might say would be very, very different, but we've got that, potentially that knowing of who we are when we're talking. And I really love how beautifully those can work together.
Did you mean the G center, the open?
I did.
Okay. Yeah, I know. I love this is why I love this space because we're like, we know what we're saying, but sometimes, yeah, it's all the different pieces.
And
Yeah.
this is the last transit that is really highly individual for if the before, in series, in succession like this, because next transit, we're going to go, the sun's going into gate 16 and the earth will be in gate 9, which are collective energies. So now that, and this is what's really important when we look at the shift that's coming up in 2027, that's highly individual, right? And this, do we know who we are? Do we know what we want to do? Or do we know how to respond in the moment in a way that honors what's right for us to do?
Yeah, that's so important. Yeah, 2027. So we have
But I just wanted to finish this, like, because then the collective benefits from all of that, right? So that's where we're going with this, into our skills and our focus, which is collective energy. So even though it's an individual thing, I didn't mean to stop you, I just wanted to finish that thought. Even though we're doing all this individual stuff and we're shifting into this individual era in the 2027, it's not like the rest of the world goes away. It's just that we know at our core that radical self-trust in who we are so that we can really stand in the truth of that, right? So
Yeah, absolutely. And exactly like you said, such an important thing to note, that we are doing that global shift. So we're having these shifts that we're going through, but there's also the global shifts, right, that are happening. And 2027 is when one of those big shifts are happening. It's like 500 some years. So we're shifting into the sleeping phoenix. And this, the 2034. So this is part of the sleeping phoenix, right? The activation. So and this also comes with the 55 and the 59. And so
the sleeping phoenix does, yeah.
or the sleeping phoenix. And so that is on the global level what we're going to be experiencing. And so really sitting with and potentially contemplating, like, how does this energy feel for you right now? Like, what's coming up with this? To kind of get like a bit of a flavor of what's going to happen, because this is going to be a bigger shift, like you said, to more of that individual energy. And especially with the 55, that abundance of spirit, right? And for me, the way that 55 shows up is like, am I in the mood or am I not in the mood? Right? For something, and noticing, because that's going to be that's going to be a big shift for us.
Yeah. But that's a different transit.
That's a whole different, yes.
That's
That's a whole
part of-
hour long talk.
The 55, 59 is part of my incarnation cross also. So, but I have the 14-8 is the other part. So, okay. Well, I want to, we went a little bit over, but not much. I think we started a little bit late. And I want to thank so many of you for hanging out in the comments with us and adding to the conversation. And thanks, Mary and Dave's here in the background on Zoom. Thanks for joining us. And, yeah, and here I am once again, like, oh, wait, where's my thing to stop the streaming? I can't find it. So, okay. Peace out, everybody.